lot and welcome to this episode of the Drink Less, Live Better podcast. This is the podcast that helps you to see that drinking less doesn't need to be stressful, lonely or boring. I'm your host, Sarah Williamson, and I decided to have a year alcohol-free as a little life experiment and haven't looked back. I'm here to support you with your alcohol-free or drink less adventures through one-to-one coaching. Follow me on Instagram at Drink Less, Live Better. Find resources on my website, drinklesslivebetter.com, and buy my book, Drink Less, Live Better. It's available in all the places you might purchase a book. And as my son said this week, at £10, it's a perfect Secret Santa gift. I hope you enjoyed this podcast episode. Let's get straight to it. Earlier on this year, I was called for jury service, and the date was set for November. I could not do the dates that they had given me in November, so I was able to write in and ask for new dates. You're allowed to turn down the dates, but you're not allowed to turn down jury service in the UK. They sent me back some new dates, and I was set for the 6th of January for at least 2 weeks onwards. I had the confirmation letter and I cleared the space in my diary for January 2025. I had to juggle some one-to-one client sessions. I had some training that I was going to deliver for my first aid for mental health. I had to rearrange that, and some podcast interviews I was booked to be on. All changed. That's fine. I work for myself and by myself. I am an expert diary wrangler. Sorted. It was all sorted. I was, however, feeling a bit apprehensive. Being on jury service fundamentally means making judgments, and I am uncomfortable with that. If I'm making a judgment about somebody or something, you can bet your bottom dollar I'm keeping it in my head. I might have an internal dialogue going on about what I think of a situation or a circumstance, but I am rarely judging it out loud. And of course, what you have to do in court is judge it out loud. I spent many years of my career working in youth justice. I realise the importance, but also the impact judgments have. One reason I left my job in youth justice right at the end was a conviction for a young person that I truly believe he did not do. It made me so upset. It really shook my belief in the system that I was working with, made me see things differently, and I couldn't really carry on for much longer as the situation was. I do realise that our justice system is not perfect and that I don't have a better suggestion or system in my mind that we should implement. I am also uncomfortable being a part of a large machine-like operation, and the court justice system is absolutely that. Anyway, I was all set. 2023 had a roller coaster start to it. 2024 got off to a discombobulating beginning, and now 2025 was looking, well, different to what I was expecting. Until I took a phone call on Friday. The court jurors have been overbooked for January. What a joy. The guy calling me to tell me that the overbooking had taken place said that generally when he was making the overbooking phone call, he got one of two kinds of responses. Those people who were desperate to do jury duty and didn't want to be kicked off their jury session, and those people who actually didn't want to do it at all and were delighted. By this point, I was sitting somewhere firmly on the fence and potentially wouldn't have minded going ahead and doing it if I had to, but I didn't have to. So I said to him, yes, please, I'll take the choice to be one of your people you don't need to rely on using. And in that moment, he said, that's fine, I'll release you from jury duty in January then. I said, great. Does that mean that I'll then be recalled for February or March? And he said, no, you will go back into the general population pool. You are released back into the wild. So that jury duty this year was the first one that I've ever been called to since turning 18. I don't know whether I'll ever be called again, but for now, I don't have to worry about it. This is one opportunity I am delighted to have pulled away from me. So now I'm back into the planning and taking action on my business stage for 2025. I'm now able to run my Dry January coaching program, which I had shelved, and I'd love to have you join me. There will be no jury, no judgment, just a whole load of care and kindness for you. No group, just you and me, one-to-one. I'll put the details in the show notes. Thank you for listening into the podcast today. If you check out the show notes, there's also a link to a hidden podcast episode that will help you with your 5 p.m. cravings and details about my other one-to-one life coaching and sober coaching programs. It's been lovely to be with you today, and P.S. I believe in you.